Hello, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Enrique Oliveras. I am a licensed massage therapist and a certified yoga instructor. Tonight, what I'm going to do for you is take you through a series of exercises that I've put together. It's a combination of yoga flow and something that most people these days call primal movement. What this means is generally moving on all fours. Now, if you take a look at the human body and the animal kingdom, you'll see that all animals walk on all fours. And you'll also, if you look at anatomy in general, you know that the reason for that is so that the organs are contained, they're held in place. By walking on two legs, our organs are no longer being held in place, they're falling out from underneath. This causes the organs a great deal of stress, and I do believe that it has a lot to do with illness and how we move about in general, both spiritually, physically, and mentally. So we're going to try to rebalance that. In addition to always standing on two legs and moving on two legs, we lose a lot of upper body strength and flexibility. So we need to get back to that original self. We need to spend time on all fours and on the ground. The floor is your friend. So today, what I'd like to do is discuss a little bit my background, and that is in traditional Chinese medicine. In traditional Chinese medicine, we have 5 seasons, not 4. Currently, we are in the lung and large intestine season. Now, the interesting thing is that this is the season where most people's lungs and large intestines really go out of whack. You see a lot of lung infections and upper respiratory infections. Now, this in Chinese medicine can be somewhat attributed to a deficiency in what we call earth, or the stomach and the spleen. The stomach and the spleen, or earth, nourishes metal. And the funny thing about metal and the lungs is when you have an illness in the lungs and you cough, you can almost taste metal in your mouth. Some people will say that the lungs are dry and that's blood seeping through the pores because it has no moisture. That may be so. In any case, you do taste metal. So we need to remember that when we're talking about ancient medicines, these people have been observing for centuries, whereas the medicine that we're using, I'm not taking away from it, it's good stuff, it has its place, but it's relatively new. So when we say alternative medicine, we are really the alternative medicine. These other systems have been around for centuries, they're tried, they're proven, and let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start to nourish that stomach and spleen. The seasons in Chinese medicine, being 5, go in 3-month segments. So the first month, what I like to do is focus on that stomach and spleen, and it runs right underneath here, goes right down the nipple line, and then it moves over and comes down through here. Now, the funny thing about the stomach channel is that it does go through the knee. So there are a few different things that happen with the knees when a person has a knee deficiency or they're having problems with their knees. One of them is that stomach channel and that spleen channel, which runs right through here, are now deficient. But there's another funny thing that happens with the IT band. The IT band has 3 sections. It has the main flat section, which most people use a foam roller on, but they miss the edges, and the edges are very important, very hard to get. Oftentimes, as a massage therapist, when somebody comes and they complain of IT band, that's what's bothering them, right down at the edge. And that's a triple warmer channel. So if you're having a knee pain, oftentimes that channel is the one that is giving you some trouble. Then you have your stomach, your spleen, and then liver, which goes way, way down into here. And if you do any kind of a side stretch, like so, let's do the other side. If you do a side stretch like triangle pose, and you come down, you're gonna feel that like right under here. And you come down and down and down and down. You can also do this move on the floor. I find that it's a little bit better on the floor to get that liver channel. So if I come down and I make sure that my foot is straight over, and I reach, I can feel that right in through here. All right, so there are a few things going on when we're talking about knee issues. What else is there that we need to look at with regard to that? So we've discussed the knees a bit. Lower back. Okay, so when you have lower back discomfort, oftentimes there are, well, there's the quadratus lumborum, that place where you get to, when somebody pokes you and you start to laugh, or it's ticklish, right? This is one of the muscles that often gets tight. So side stretches are going to help you maintain your lower back. The next thing is the iliopsoas, which is a deep back muscle that's so deep, I can only massage it going in through the front. And if you mess around, if you go a little bit, if you go to your belly button and you come over, you might even feel this wiry thing. That's your iliopsoas. So if you feel that, that means that that muscle is very, very tight. The last thing that I find, and this is particularly with women, because women sleep generally on one side and women are hippie, so that those hips kick over, is that the hips fall out of alignment. And if a person is sleeping or a woman is sleeping on one side at all times, you've got this going on. So these are the three things. It happens with men too, but mostly with women. These are the three things that are attributed to lower back pain. So let's look at the first thing. We're going to look at a very simple stomach stretch. We're going to bring our arms up like so, palms facing. And whenever you do any type of yoga, you really want to focus on the stretch. A lot of people focus on the bending, and what they wind up doing is contorting the spine rather than keeping a nice straight spine. So you really get into those hips. So we're going to bring this up, bring our arms up, and rather than asking you to bend back, I'm going to ask you to push your hips forward. This is a whole new concept for most people. Just about everywhere I have taught, people begin to throw their backs, to throw their upper bodies back and bend back, rather than go ahead and move those hips forward. Now I am going to continue to look straight in this case, and I'm going to give myself a little, I believe that that loosening is very important. So just moving those hips left and right, and if you're a dancer, you know this looks a lot like the Huxtable. And it's just to loosen everything up. It's actually going to get to that triple warmer channel or the edge of that IT band. And I'm going to go a little bit further back, and notice I'm still looking at you. Now we go into what looks like a back bend. We're going to go back. And just a nice soft back bend. Okay, we're going to counter that, bringing the arms down. And whenever you go from one position to another, it's always nice to give it a nice little flow. Now here's something that a lot of physicians, a lot of back doctors, osteopaths will tell you not to do. I've heard them say this. I'm going to ask you to bend at the hips. Now the thing about doing this is you cannot suck your stomach in. If you suck your stomach in, you're going to use your back muscles. Another thing that's attributed to lower back pain are weak stomach muscles. So doing abdominal work or core work is hugely important. And this is part of that. This is a nice way to get abdominal work without having to go down to the ground. Another thing we're going to look at is getting away from crunches. Isometrics is fantastic. It's tough, but it really, in my opinion, you get more bang for your buck when you do isometrics. So this is a form of isometrics. We're going to bring our hands down, have a nice straight spine, and we're going to bend at the waist. Okay, we're going to lead with our chest. Okay, and the weight is on the front of my feet. So that's really going to give the Achilles and the hamstrings a nice stretch. And again, I'm really focusing on bringing the shoulder blades together. And the more I relax, the straighter I can get here. And then I'm going to bring this nice and slow, vertebra by vertebra, back up. Take a breath. Now what's going to happen as we go along, you're going to feel your eyes get droopy. This is a good thing. That means the parasympathetic system is kicking in. This is where the real healing begins, where the body really begins to send endorphins out that bring about not only better maintenance to your body, but better blood flow, better nervous system function. So we're going to do this once again. Ready? A nice straight spine. And you'll see this in particular in Horton technique. And we're going to, notice I bring my sternum forward. The sternum is here. Bring that, so I'm not bringing my shoulders back, I'm bringing my sternum forward. And I'm going to go down. Head nicely aligned with the sacrum. And oftentimes people want to go back here. This is not good. You also don't want to lock your knees. You want a slight bend so that the muscles are doing the work. I'm going to bring my arms up. This is going to make it much more difficult. And you're going to feel that even more on the hamstrings. I'm going to come up and notice my arms are leading this motion. And my back did not hunch. Now, there's an off and on switch to the lungs. Holding your hands like this is more of an off switch. If you take a deep breath and notice how deeply you can go and the quality of that breath, and exhale. Now turn the palms out and inhale. And you'll notice that the inhale with the palms out is a lot smoother. You get more filled. And exhale, don't hold it. It's funny, sometimes I tell people to inhale, and if I don't tell them to exhale, they'll actually hold their breath. Don't do that. All right, palms in. And once again, be careful not to push the hips back, not to go onto your heels. Let the tummy hang. That means that the abs are doing their job. If you suck it in, you got the back muscles doing their job. And up and go nice and slow. Take a deep breath and exhale. And we're gonna go one more time. And here we go. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale as you come up. Try to keep the same pace. And go ahead and move that head left and right. That's going to go right into the neck there, palms out. That's going to give you a different set of muscles doing some work. Go ahead and rotate. You don't have to go as fast as me. You're going to get some cracklies. We're going to move the shoulders just to loosen that structure. Get the rhomboids, which is the muscle between the scapula and the spine, loosened up. We're going to do some circles as well, right? Again, massaging the heart and lungs. Palms facing. And bring it down. Fantastic. So right about now, you should start feeling those eyes getting a little droopy, right? You're gonna have some fluids moving. And let's separate the legs. Let's go back into that step like before, except this time we're gonna focus on that lower back. Now, what we wanna do is open the vertebra of that lower back. So we're going to bend. I'm gonna switch legs. You can follow along. And I'm going to push my hips back. So I've got this nice, straight lower back. And you're going to feel those vertebrae start to open. And come on up. Now, what you've got to be careful for is rounding out that upper body, rounding out the shoulders. It just ruins the structure. You're not going to get the nice stretch in that lower back that you want. So we did one side. Let's go ahead and do the other side. And you'll see that I really unhinge here. And I could actually feel that left lower spine crackling open, and only go down till you start to feel something moving. Support yourself with the other hand and come on up. Nice. Well done. Now, another feature we have when we do that is you're going to feel that right down, maybe in between the big toe and the next one over. That's your liver channel. And if you go to an acupuncturist, they're probably going to stick a needle in between that webbing. There are 4 cardinal points: the feet and the hands. Large intestine 4, I believe it is. All right, let's move on. Moving up. And a nice forward bend. We're just going to hang. And I'm going to take my glasses off for this. We're going to hang and fully relax, shifting the weight left and right. Shake the head no. Drop the hands. And if you find that difficult, you can put your hands on your shins. And I'm wiggling my hips again to loosen all that up. Going left and right. And I'm going to walk forward into a classic yoga pose, down dog. Moving the hips left and right. Push back. Now let's bend our knees. And let's hold that. Straighten. Make sure the weight is on the pads of your hands. That's the opposite of your knuckles. And let's go into a plank. Now here, we're going to do something different. We're going to tuck our hips under or curl our lower back, and that's going to hit the abdominals. We're going to do that for 30 seconds. And that's 30. Let's push back. Don't drop your head. And back into plank. Now, if you can, and I'm going to come off my pose, there are 2 ways to do this. One is on your toes, which is good. However, if you go onto the flats on the tops of your feet, you're going to get more of a stretch into that stomach channel. And we're going to do raised cobra. Shifting the weight left and right. Place the knees down and push back into child pose. Let's come on up into table. And if you find that you're starting to get a cramp, go ahead and go back onto your feet. So we have table. What we're going to do is we're going to raise that table. So again, you can do this on your toes and the knees will come up. Or you could do it on the front, on the tops of your feet to get that work on the stomach channel. And again, this is a nice core or abdominal exercise. 30 seconds. If you can't hold 30 seconds, go ahead and drop down and join me again when you can. And that's 30. Back into child pose. And come on up. Come on up and loosen your hands. And pardon me, but I'm a little runny, so gotta take care of that. That's not a pretty sight. So go ahead and shake your hands. Shaking left or turning them is much better than just shaking. All right. Now we're going to work on those love handles. It's interesting, sometimes a woman tells me she has love handles, and I never see them, but I take their word for it. But this is a great exercise for love handles. Again, we're doing a 30-second pause. If you can't do the 30 seconds, don't worry about that. It's not a defeat. You have to build into these things. So go ahead and drop down and then join me again. What matters is that, pardon me. What matters is that you complete the 30 seconds. So in this way, if you complete it, you still have a feeling of accomplishment. If you quit, then you're just gonna feel like you failed. So, you know, take into account the psychology of exercise, the psychology of winning, and the psychology of losing. Always take that winning psychology. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to finish it, but finish it. Okay, going on to a side plank. Now this is great, but if you drop it down like this, it makes your body heavier. You're gonna get a much more bang for your buck. But if that's too difficult, go ahead and hold it here. Or you can do both. Now, in traditional yoga, you would turn your head. We're focusing on just getting those love handles, so don't worry about that. And release. Take a nice deep breath. The pauses are for you. Take advantage of them. If you come to one of my classes, you probably won't get those pauses. Depending on your skill level. Today we're kind of doing beginner to intermediate, even though the exercises themselves are really more intermediate to advanced. A quick story, just to give you a little bit of a break. I have a friend who he's been a little chunky as long as I've known him, and I gave him these exercises, and some of them he says he loves, some of them he says he loves to hate, but he's doing them and getting really great results. And trust me, you're gonna sleep like a baby after you do these. So here we go, on to the next one. I like to start as if I'm doing a yoga pose and then come down. Careful not to do this. Make sure that you're nicely lined up. And that's 30. And release. Go ahead and shake that hand off. Ooh, I'm telling. And for me, I actually feel the vertebra of that lower spine all the way into the sacrum. I can feel it crunching and opening and closing and like that. Let's move on to something maybe not easier, but in a resting pose. So, place your feet on the ground, arms above the head. And just relax. Move the shoulders. Little massage for the rhomboids. Press the lower back into the floor. Straighten and lift. And pull those knees in. A little rock. And drop those knees to the left. Look, I'm sorry, right. My right, your left. For an added stretch, you can grab that leg and give it a soft pull. Bring it to center and off to the other side. Bring it to center and pull in again. And relax. Let's turn over. And go into what's called Sphinx. So parallel with the forearms, separate the fingers and look up. And if you want a little bit more stretch, you can come all the way up. Now this is a wonderful stomach stretch. You can hold that for 30 seconds or turn it into a flow. So we're going to go down, pretend to look at our belly buttons, lift, and lift, drop, and drop, lift, and lift. Drop and drop. We're going to separate our legs now as wide as we can comfortably. And I'm going to give a little shake here. Again, we're loosening. You want to try to get the insteps of those feet to the floor. So it doesn't matter how wide you get, so much as it's important that you try to get the flats of the feet on the floor. We're opening up the hips. And then bring your feet together. Now at first, you may look like this or like this. Don't worry about it. It'll come. It's a road, not a destination. And again, you'll notice that I'm rocking left and right. It's a nice soft, loosening motion. I'm gonna bring my knees up a little higher to make it a little bit more more adjacent to where my skill level is. And circling the head. Careful with this, softly. And reverse. So here we're hitting the spleen and the liver channel. This will benefit the knees. And open up again. You can bring your hands out a little bit further and get some distance between you and the floor. Again, a wonderful stomach stretch. Also addressing the spleen channel and the liver channel in the legs. And drop. Bring the feet together. And go ahead and relax in this position, loosening everything up. Bring the hands in close, into table, and come straight up. Breathe in. We're going to work on that mid back and the upper back now. Simply lift the sternum and separate the arms, creating space for the heart, but also activating the spleen channel. And remember what I said, stomach and spleen nourish the lungs. Bring one hand back, and if you can't place it on your what is that, heel, you can go ahead and place it on your hip for support. And push the hips up. And release. Notice this nice little swing. So we get some flow. We're going to add a child pose. Lift up. Nice rotator cuff, mobility move, and come up. Back down into that child. And try not to put any weight on your arms, so you're working with those abdominals. And into table. Look up. And at your belly button. And up. And at your belly button. And up. And over your shoulder. Doesn't matter which one, we're doing both sides. And I'm also going to shift the weight left and right. Swing it over to the other side. Try to keep a smile on your face. It releases positive endorphins. Got a little flow going here now. cat tuck. And we're gonna go into pigeon. Now, this may be, I don't like to place my palms on there unless you have blocks. If you have blocks, it brings you up higher. So it may be a good idea to come up on your fingertips to give you a better spinal alignment. And again, I'm going to shift left and right. This is clearly for the IT band. And look up. You want to make sure that that back leg, notice that I'm repositioning it and elongating right at the hip, right at that hip flexor. And now I'm going to sit and provide an even deeper stretch. Now, if you can't do this, or if you're finding it hard, you can put a block underneath here and sit. But that sitting gives the spine an additional support and a bit more of a stretch. If you want to have some fun, you can get low. If not, you can stay high, and let's come away from that. And release. Now, I'm going to bring this leg back, but I am not going to go on my toes. If this is easier for you, if you don't feel like you have the strength or the stretch to come up and then switch, do it however it's comfortable for you. Now I feel a slight cramp happening, so I'm going to come up and put some pressure on that foot and then bring it back. And up we go. And that cramp just won't stop, so I'm going to go into down dog. And you can't hear it, but my toes are cracking. Cramps are usually wind in the liver, and I don't generally get them very often. And again, notice how I'm repositioning that back leg. So I got that nice hip flexor stretch going on. I'm not even bothering to look up just yet. And I'm doing that nice left and right motion. And sit. Bring it on up. And look up. And release. And once again, on the tops of my foot, and I'm going to swing that back around into an X shape. Bring the feet together, the arms together. Move that head left and right, just loosening. Press your lower back onto the floor. And press, lift. 30 seconds. and release. A little core work. And switch. Press that lower back to the ground. And release. Nice deep breath. Place your feet on the ground and into bridge. And release, turn that into a flow. And let's roll on over. Bring it up. And a little stretch here. And come on, breathe in. Bring it back to center. And interlace the fingers. We're going to bring some mobility to the chest by making circles with the hands over the head. And let's reverse that flow. And breathe in. Creating a pyramid. The pyramid supposedly has mystical qualities. In this case, with our mind intention, we pull energy in from the point and imagine it, or with our mind and heart intention, draw it down through the base into the body and into the magnetic field, or what some people call the human aura. The knees remain slightly bent. Palms out. And release. Let's move into another flow. So we're going to go into Warrior 2. And this foot should bisect the back leg or the back foot. We're going to bring our elbow to our knee. The reach is the most important part here. And then we're going to use this arm to turn a bit more. And turn that into a flow. I like to bring my hand back and maybe take hold. And down. And up. And down. And up. And let's switch sides. Bring it down. So, notice I'm turning. The large intestine channel runs right through here and works with the lungs. So we're getting that nice activation. And into a flow. Turn the feet in, parallel feet. And go ahead and touch the ground if you can. Moving the hips left and right. And now for some primal movement. We're going to move on over. And back over. And you could actually do this across the floor, which is what I usually do. You could have some fun with it. Or keep it low. And move forward. And back. And forward. And back. Rest. Deep breath. Separate the legs. Up. And cross stepping. So I'm going to come over and walk. In. And release. break. Take some breathers, grab some water if you need it. I'm going to grab my glasses. And we're going to talk a little bit. So we've gone through quite a lot. Take what you need, take what you can do, and work on it on your own. I can be reached at for any questions. Before you enter into any exercise, please talk to your physician, make sure that you can do what I'm doing. Everything that I do can be modified, so do it however you can to start with. Don't start at a high level. Whenever you go to a class, whenever you're watching a video, you do not want to try to emulate the teacher. You don't want to emulate the people that are doing it really, really well. Start where you are. You'll get there. It's a road. It's not a destination. It's like a good stew, right? A good stew takes time. And that's what it's going to take, time. I've worked quite a bit with the mature adult community. I don't like to call them seniors because of everything that goes along with the word these days. When people think senior, they think being decrepit. And oftentimes when I work with mature adults, they say to me, well, I'm just old, and I have to remind them, and I'm reminding you, you're not old, you're in dismaintenance. In dismaintenance that has accumulated over time. So the first thing you need to do is change your perception of yourself, your perception of what you think is going on with your body. It's not age, it is dismaintenance. I have proven this over and over and over again, and a number of mature adults have come back from conditions they were told they'd never be able to. I guess the most profound one was, I've also taught and have been instructed in Qigong, medical Qigong, Yuan Ming Qigong to be exact, Master Zhang. That's a little plug for you. And I had a mature adult who had a curvature in her spine, osteoporosis. And she asked me, she said, Shifu, which is teacher in Chinese, what can I do to improve my condition? And I gave her a very simple exercise. I just said, reach up. So she took my word for it slightly, but really she still went to the Midwest somewhere to see an osteo specialist, the best in the country. She came back, she just looked me in the eyes and said, I should have given you the plane fare and the hotel fare. And I looked at her and said, why? And she said, because I traveled all that way to see this world-renowned specialist, and he gave me the exact same exercise you gave me. So again, and after only a couple, maybe 2 or 3 years, she began to straighten up. So you're not old, you're in dismaintenance. Diet is hugely, hugely important. Exercise is important, but the type of exercise that you do, stretching is phenomenal. But the food you eat, your food is medicine, especially herbs. Thyme, parsley, all these things are medicinal. We've known this forever. Somehow we've gotten away from that. Please go back to it. Cook for yourself. Get away from eating out. It's not great for you. Also beware of sugar. They put it in everything. So what else can I give you that I haven't given you already? There's so much information I have to share with you. I do hope that you reach out to me. I do hope that in some way you can get me to where you are if you can't get to me, so that I can share this body of knowledge with you. It's extensive. A lot of it is really just common sense. I don't know what else I can give you. So with that, I will simply say that the next month is dedicated to the lung channel, which runs from here to here. There's also an extension in the back of the leg, right outside of the IT band, which you won't find in an acupuncture chart, simply because it doesn't have points. So what's the point if you're an acupuncturist to to show those extensions, but they're there. The large intestine channel from here to here. And I think that pretty much covers it. I want to thank you all for joining me in this exercise. I want to thank the staff of Somerville Community Access TV. They're amazing people. Please, please tune in and continue to tune in. Perhaps they'll have me back again. Thank you so much. Namaste.